are watching Wyrd, a weekly live stream featuring survival horror, science fiction, and fantasy authors Alan Gamboa, Scott Baker, Rich Restucci, and Hadley Thorne. They get together to discuss, debate, and dissect the latest new movie releases, personal recommendations, and their week-by-week after viewing responses to a current streaming series. Like, follow, and subscribe to Wyrd Realities on all our social media at Linktree. That's linktr.ee/Wyrd Realities, and that's Wyrd with the Y. Be sure to check out our webpage and subscribe to our monthly newsletter where we highlight our partners, followers, Wyrd kids, talk latest books releases, and more. That's at www.wyrdrealities.net.
Happy Thursday, everybody.
Hey.
Oh, but it's Wednesday.
It is.
Yeah.
Surprise! It's Wednesday.
Tony already here. Nice.
Nah.
Hey, Tony.
Come on,
All
we'll do
right.
the turkey coma.
So I'm back just in time to enjoy our third annual turkey trot here?
Yeah.
Our annual turkey roast.
Third big one.
Yeah.
Hard to believe, right?
Yeah.
And this year,
movies.
we've got a total upset. I think that we're going to find that Scott Baker has some challengers for the turkey of the year.
I know I'm the
Hey, Landa. Hey, Craig.
Landa.
So,
Hi, Landa. Hi, Craig. Mike.
hey, Mike.
Howdy,
It's
y'all.
good to be back and see all the lovely people here in the chat room for sure.
Oh. Missed you guys.
Well, I mean, anyway.
Go ahead, Doc. You're on a roll. We'll call you back. You're on a roll.
So I get to go first?
Yeah, you get to go first.
All right, kids. Well, so I thought I had a good movie one night. It's called The Lost Platoon, and it is about a group of these mercenary soldiers in Nicaragua that turn out to be vampires. So I was pretty stoked to watch this. And then I got into it and discovered that this was probably or possibly the worst movie of the year for me to watch. So, of course, I had to immediately tell the guys I need to watch it. So that is my turkey of the year. It is called The Lost Platoon. It was made in 1990, and it is about an American reporter covering a civil war in Nicaragua that discovers these soldiers that he used to know during World War II are there. And they're actually vampires fighting their own personal war against an evil Nicaraguan general and his own personal army of vampires terrorizing the country. And that is what IMDb says. This movie is streaming on Freevee and Tubi. It is by director David A. Pryor, who obviously was very influenced by the Evil Dead movie. And yeah, it sucked. It sucked so hard, I can't even tell you to watch it. I will say to avoid it. But I don't know. Where do you want me to start? I
Right at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good luck.
It just sucked. I'm not gonna give a discernation of it. It's just it was a very bad movie. There's like a baby vampire who all he does is whine. His name is Walker, and I wanted to slap him multiple times throughout the course of this movie. The shooting, okay, so the gunplay. There's at one time this guy, one of the vampires, takes his gun out. Oh, and the vampires walk in the daylight, and they don't have fangs sometimes, and sometimes they have fangs, and yeah, it was all over the place, and I wasn't really sure what was going on. But hey, that's kind of how I'm living life these days. So, but yeah, the whole vampire shooting this guy, his mystery bullet kills 2 in one shot. Did y'all see that?
Oh, he was just so fast. That's what it was. It was just so fast.
That was what it was so fast?
No, it sucked.
Yeah, I mean, if you thought Stormtroopers shot bad, watch this movie. It was very ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
If Stormtroopers shot like that guy, that Empire would have kicked ass in a day. The guy he killed like 3 people with one shot. So
And then the people would get shot and they didn't have bullet wounds. Y'all notice that?
Yeah.
I mean,
that
it
fake
was just
orange blood from that
ridiculously
devil.
bad, and it sucked because the premise was really good. This was kind of like I found it after we'd watched that Dampier movie, and I was kind of high on. Oh, that was really cool. I'm gonna find me another one, and no, I did not. Um, but yeah, it sucked pretty hard. So, kids, what'd y'all think?
Gentlemen.
Go for it, Rick. Go.
Oh, this movie just sucked. It didn't have. So again, I just like Hadley said, when it's introduced and you're reading what it's about, you're like, oh, that sounds pretty good. But 1 second into the movie, you're following this. It's basically someone that's running through the woods with a camcorder, and they speed it up, and I'm like, this is gonna suck, and I was not wrong. It sucked. So basically, Hadley already described the plot. It's about this group of 4 vampires who are they're soldiers, and it takes place in Nicaragua, but there's some jumping around. You can tell that each one of the soldiers that are in this vampire platoon squad, they each come from a different war, and the last one was sort of current. Like it was like World War II, like 100 years ago. Well, actually, that doesn't track either because World War II wasn't 100 years ago. So do the math there. But you had one from the Civil War, one from World War one from World War II, and maybe Vietnam.
I think it was Vietnam. Yeah.
Yeah. So these guys, they basically can't get killed by normal, bullets. So they are fighting off whoever they want to fight off, the Nicaraguan kingpins, who they find out is actually the leader of the sort of ragtag group of assholes that's just murdering everyone is the lead vampire's brother. And so, battling ensues at the end. You know what goes on. The acting was probably the second best of the 4 movies that we picked. But the movie itself, the plot and the cinematography and oh my God, that horrible, ridiculous, I'm on the edge of my seat 80s movie music was just terrible. Yeah, you can just slide right on past this one. Not my favorite. Oh, we tried. See, he didn't want to even talk about the movie.
Yeah.
Right. He heard what it was, and he's like, "No, I'm out." But anyway, you can skip this one. What did you two think?
I agree. Oh, go ahead, Alan.
Oh, this one had a great premise. Lost boys, and it just, I don't know. I don't know what happened. This bad script, bad writing, bad acting. Cinematography was horrible. It was just, I don't know. It was pretty bad.
Can I read my
bad
quote?
in a good way. It was,
yeah. Let Hadley read her quote.
Yeah, I got to sit through this thing and watch it, because Hadley picked it. But it was the Evil Dead part, where the rushing through, they obviously ripped that off, and I really can't pick out any good acting in it.
There was none. It was a total turkey.
Yeah, you picked a good turkey. This one was.
No, I mean, like, there were scenes like the vampire is supposed to mysteriously appear, and then all of a sudden the actor like jumps into the scene. Obviously,
The shooting scenes were awesome. They were standing out in the open shooting.
Yeah.
Well, what about when the guy was on top of the fort?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my quote from the movie that I wanted to share with y'all. The head vampire, Jonathan Hancock, says, "Thought I had the world by the balls, till I looked down and I saw the balls in my hand were my own." And that sums up this movie in a nutshell.
Yep.
Are you sure that came from this movie?
I'm sure.
Fine.
That was because I looked it up when he said it. I was like, "What the f?"
I mean, if somebody said, "Hey, I got a good line. I'll add it to this crap."
That's not a good line, Alan. Not a good line.
It was the best line of the movie.
Well, yeah, that's not saying much. So, Scott, what did you think?
I think the premise was great, and if this was given to a director, I think it might have been a much better movie. But this looks like somebody wrote the script, gave it to the Hollywood, and Hollywood said, "Oh yeah, I'll let my nephew Billy make it." It was horrible. I mean, just they're wearing Civil War, World War I, and World War II uniforms that aren't even ragged, aren't even dirty. You know, it's
Not as dirty as their faces were.
the badass vampires, and I'm not talking the Nicaraguan and the hot brunette. I'm talking the ones that look like vampires. They were hideous. They were horrible makeup. This movie was very hard to sit through.
It was.
Every other movie had some redeeming quality. What I liked about the movie was the end. When the credits started rolling, that was the best part.
It was bad. I mean,
I am both riveted and reviled by the fact that I might have the winning movie this year.
it was a crap fest. It was like if you're roasting s'mores and they weren't s'mores, they were a turd. I mean, it was that bad. The colonel walked around without a weapon, without
a clue.
Yeah. No, where do you start on this movie? From the beginning, like Rich said. Yeah, about it. Every celluloid piece of this movie you could wipe your butt with. It was that bad.
And it would still look better.
Yeah. Love you, man.
Hey there, buddy.
I did not even understand the premise of the vampires in this movie. Like I said, I didn't really get. And what the heck was the woman? Because she wasn't like them.
Yeah.
But she spun out of control and blew up. What was that about?
Weird.
Oh, yeah.
What did he stab her with? Because it looked like he just stabbed her with
A
a knife.
knife.
Right? So I don't know. But she sure did toss that other vampire around like he was toilet paper.
I know, right?
He stabbed her with the budget of the movie.
She was the TNA value. Come on, how many women walk around in the forests of Nicaragua in a dress like that?
The black dress, right?
With their their red fingernails that are perfect in their hair, and she must have been a tall woman too, because she dwarfed that guy.
Yeah, she did.
Anyway,
Clearly,
it was
she
just
wasn't
weird.
human.
It was a weird. I mean, like I said, the background on the vampires, it wasn't enough for me. I didn't. Was there any? Did I just miss it?
No, there wasn't any really.
Well, the only one we saw any background on was the youngest one, because he's the one who got saved by the vampires before. It starts off. It looked like World War II. They were shooting Germans, and they had M1s, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then all of his buddies get killed, and he's wounded. And the guy with the hat, with like the Civil War guy, comes in and he says, "Do you want to live forever?" That was the guy he was talking to. So,
Well, and he apparently gave the journalist some of his blood, and that's kind of connected them. What?
yeah.
I don't know. But there was no recognizable vampire lore used in the making of this film, other than stakes and did they drink blood?
Hey, Doc.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did. The good guys, I don't know if they did. I don't remember.
The bad guys did.
Oh, yeah.
But you know how they got around that is they said, this isn't a movie. When the guy's like putting the cross on him, it's not doing anything. This is a movie. So then they were able to throw out anything. They could walk in the day. They could,
Yeah. It was the worst vampire movie ever.
Yeah,
well, I mean, I've seen worse, but still, it was up there.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good pick, Allie, for a turkey.
It was a solid turkey for sure.
Solid pick on that one. Definitely. And there's nobody, I don't think there's anybody I've seen in any other movie, maybe some of those 80 B movies, but
No, they were in other movies. I'm telling you. Okay, let me see.
Oh, you don't have to worry about it. You're good.
No, I'm telling you, because that David Perry was in, and he was the head vampire. He was in what did you say earlier? It's a Vietnam movie. What was it?
Oh,
Oh,
Full Metal Jacket. And this guy that played the journalist, he was like very prominent in these Ghost in the Shell stuff.
weird.
Oh,
So I guess maybe he's a voice actor. Not really sure.
Okay. Well, this was anybody out there have any opinions they want to throw up real quick on the chat? Like, I know I saw Mike Lewis.
yeah, Mike said it sucked.
Yeah, he wasn't wrong. You know. So what are we rate this Among Us?
I'll give it a 1.
Oh, you're generous. I'd give it a 0.5. And
Abby?
that's only because the brunette looked good in the dress.
How about you, Kelly?
I don't even know that I can rate it, guys. It was bad, but I'm gonna say that I'm gonna give it at least a 1.5 because some of y'all's movies sucked balls.
But ours were meant to suck balls.
That's not the point.
So you're going to give your movie a 1.5 because our movies were worse?
Your movie, Rich, was the worst movie. I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
I'm going to give it a 1. I just
Thank
couldn't
you.
get that 0.5. I just cannot. That's like stretching after being on the couch for a couple hours. I just can't get there. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
It's not going to hurt my feelings. Somebody needs to keep up tonight with the scoring because I just can't believe that I might beat Scott Baker this year for the worst movie.
I can't believe you're going to beat me this year for worst movie.
All right,
Well-
so what was that? That was a 1, a 1, a 1.5, and a 0.5.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3. That got 4. All right.
Nice.
1, 2.
Hey, let's move to. I want to save yours for last, Rich.
Okay.
You just want to hear me go off about that movie. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Scott? Let's go with Abraham Lincoln versus the Zombies.
Abraham Lincoln versus Zombie. When I saw this a few years ago, I thought it was much worse. Now, as I'm rewatching it, I'm picking up all the fun little tidbits. It's pretty much Abraham Lincoln is getting ready to travel to Gettysburg. The battle is over. He's going to give the address, but they are told that Fort Pulaski on the Savannah River, there was supposedly a covert operation going on there, and none of the Secret Service, none of the military came back. So on his way to Gettysburg, President Lincoln and Edward Stanton, who was his, I think, Secretary of War in real life, they decide. Oh, and the operation was Operation Big Shanty. So they decide to go to the island, to the fort, and figure out what's going on. Well, it turns out that the Confederates were dealing with zombies, trying to make super soldiers, and of course it went wrong. And what I loved about the movie was Stonewall Jackson is in it. Edward Stanton is in it. There is a young Teddy Roosevelt in it, whose family died. He's there. And there's this one great scene where little Teddy, he's like about 8, 9 years old, says, "I want to fight too." And Abraham Lincoln gives him a pole and says, "Walk softly and carry a big stick." It was like, and then one of his Secret Service agents is a man named John Wilkinson, who happens to be a former actor.
Saw that coming.
Yeah. It's fun. It's not the best zombie movie you'll ever see. It's just, I did love the fact that the way he handled the axe when he was killing the zombies was a direct homage to Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. He handled it the exact same way. And it's got a little bit of a cute, I'll tell you at the end. Nobody's going to give a shit. He winds up getting bit, and he knows he's going to turn. So he sends a letter to John Wilkes Booth saying, "Will you assassinate me in the theater tonight?" So he doesn't turn into a zombie. So. Now, the fact that he gets bit in 1863, and it takes him 2 years to turn, we won't go into that part of it. But, like I said, it was what it was meant to be, a B-grade movie with a lot of tongue-in-cheek in it. So what did you guys think?
This wasn't horrible. It just wasn't good. I mean, it was acting range was some decent acting to just, local theater acting. It was nothing. It could have been, well, no, it couldn't have, no. It was no Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. That's for sure. I like the little tidbits of history it threw in there. That was kind of fun. You saw the ending coming from a mile away. You figured out what was going to happen. And then he had his little zombie locked up. Who knew he was a dirty necrophiliac? Bad Abe.
Sorry, Mike corrected me. He was keeping his former girlfriend alive and she bit him. Sorry, Mike.
Guess that's what happens when you're a necrophiliac. Bad things happen. Bad Abe. Scott, this is not the worst picture you picked. Sorry.
Sorry. That was my out loud voice.
But
I know, I thought it was going to be, like I said, I remember it being worse than it was.
I like when they blockaded the gates with something a 2-year-old could push over.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no logic in this movie. The things they did, some of these guys let the zombies bite them. They just gave up. Oh, screw it. I'm gonna let the zombie bite me. That's how it was. This was a hard one to get through too, but it's not the worst one you've ever picked.
Thanks, Killing.
So, Hadley?
Cinematography wise, this was a good movie.
Yeah.
Storyline wise, it was better than the others. I think out of all movies we picked this week, this was the most watchable. So,
yeah.
So Scott, I hate to say this, but I think you might lose your crown.
Temporarily next year.
I'll Stanley Cup. You pass it to the next one.
Next year I'll pick a movie.
Alan won last year, though, didn't he?
What was last year?
I don't remember.
I don't
It was
remember.
bad. I think it was.
I know
bad.
I won for Thanksgiving.
You did.
Yes.
You were the inaugural win with Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Oh, I believe so. At least it had. At least it did have a story.
I was disappointed in the zombies in both of the zombie movies.
Yeah.
I felt like they could have gotten some people interested in makeup to do better. But this one, it was the most watchable. So, Rich, what'd you think?
Well, I'll latch on to your cinematography call out. I think that it had wide swaths of battleground that you could see, and having seen a Civil War sort of memorial that you drive through, I think that it looked just like that. So it was real close. You could see the cannons on the hills and stuff like that. But insofar as acting, of the 4 movies that we watched, this was hands down, far and away, the best acting of the bunch. Which, I mean, there's not, excuse me, there's not going to be any Academy Awards won with this film for its acting. But it was definitely better than the other movies.
Well, this was filmed at Fort Polsky National Monument at Savannah, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And my movie was filmed in Mobile at their stuff, at their Civil War stuff.
Oh, okay.
The zombies in this, zombie film were weird. difficult to talk about them because they didn't really look like zombies. They just looked like some dude with white makeup on and like dark circles under their eyes. They had different speeds as well. Sometimes they were crazy like shamblers and walking real slow, and other times they could be pretty like almost jog. So it was a little weird with that. I don't have a problem with both, but make it a designation on to why that can happen. And sometimes that just irks me. But the whole Stonewall Jackson, Abraham Lincoln dynamic was just weird and odd. But the way, like Scott said, the way they pulled it together at the end about Lincoln getting scratched by the dead woman and then calling out John Wilkes Booth, who had been, part of his group before as a spy, part of Lincoln's group before as a spy. He called him out and he didn't know who the message was from. He's like, he just send this message in there. So he knew that Booth was going to come in and assassinate him at the Ford Theater.
Hey, Rich.
Yeah.
Was that Dr. Mudd?
I don't know.
Which doctor?
Excellent. Samuel Mudd.
I looked that up. I looked it up. I went through almost every name to see if there was a historian. I don't think that was Mudd.
That's because that would have been cool. They put him on Devil's Island, didn't they, Mudd?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. But this movie, you can just slide on past this one as well. You can sort of say, yeah, I heard that wasn't that great and move on. However, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer, that's a good flick. That's again, not going to win any Academy. Was that Aaron Eckhart? Who was in that?
No. Benjamin, I can't remember his last name, but you don't see him a lot.
Right. Anyway, so Abraham Lincoln versus the Zombies.
Benjamin Walker.
Benjamin Walker.
Thank you.
Take it or leave it. I'll just throw out my ranking right now. I'll give this one a 1.75. How does that? I'm not even going to give it a 2. And the 1.75 was for the decent, not great acting and the excellent wide swaths of cinematography. Those were actually really good. So, that's me. What about you, fellas?
I mean, Scott.
I'm going to give a shout out to Tony. Hey, Tony, it's good to see you.
Bill Oberst, who played Lincoln, he's a history buff. And he said he would take the role only if near the end of the movie he could read the entire Gettysburg Address. So he was happy. I'm going to give this movie a 3 because it is exactly what it was meant to be. A cheap B-grade movie that had a few little inside jokes. It's not World War Z. It's not Dawn of the Dead. It succeeded in what it wanted to be. It's a great movie if you're going to want to get drunk and watch some crappy movie on a Friday or a Saturday night. I would recommend this.
What?
What?
You would? Out of all the movies in the world, if you're drunk on a Saturday night, you're going to recommend this movie?
Yeah, because it'll be like an Academy Award winner if you're drunk watching this.
I wouldn't go that far.
Hold on. I got a movie for you guys. Hold on. Abraham Lincoln versus the Zombies. Yeah.
I'm going to have to step up and say, don't.
Well, what do you give it?
This is Scott's pick for Turkey of the Year, and it was the best movie. Just don't watch it.
What do you give it?
I'm going to go with a 1.5.
Okay.
I'm going to go with a 1.5 because who knew old Abe was a dirty necrophiliac? Who knew that? Now we all know.
Yeah, but did you see his real life? I mean, come on.
I know, right? They made that made no sense.
Thanks, Tony.
Good pick, though, Scott.
Thank you. Mike liked it. See, Mike's on my side.
Those Ash, apparently.
Ash would recommend that, whether he was drunk or sober. So
I bet Ash liked the gingerbread man.
If you're drunk, recommend Sven. Yeah, there we go.
I love Svengoolie, Doc. I watch that unless he's showing the same movie for the third time in a year.
I watched it. He doesn't know why. Well, we're rolling on these movies here. Scott was a disappointment this year because he actually picked out my decent movie.
I feel like I was the dark horse in the running with this one.
Yes. Yeah.
You are.
Yes. Okay. Well, I guess we're gonna save riches for last. So I'm gonna go with Dead Next Door. That was my pick. I love this movie. I love it. It is so bad. Like a bunch of friends got together and said, let's make a zombie movie. I mean, the quality of the effects, the acting, everything jives with that. And that's basically all it was done. But this guy, I forgot his name, was funded in partial by Ted Raimi. And so that he's got that going for him. This movie took a few years to make because if you look at it, it looks mid 80s. But yet it was supposed to be put out in like 88, 89, something like that.
89.
Oh, yeah. So this is the movie starts out with a video store. Remember those? Good times, right? And a guy comes up to the clerk with a stack full of zombie movies. Dawn of the Dead, Return of the Living Dead, just a bunch of the zombie movies that were big back then. And the clerk looks at the guy and freaks out because the guy's a zombie. So that's how it starts out, with a zombie returning zombie or grabbing zombie flicks at a video store.
It's so polite too. Just shuffled up to the counter, handed on his little rewinded videotapes,
right?
VHS.
The most mellow zombie breakout. You see a hamburger joint, excuse me, and it's being run by zombies, and people are like carrying on with their business while other people are being eaten, and they're like, And so it jumps forward. There's a zombie squad that goes out and kills zombies. And they Ghostbuster-like station wagons, which aren't even as cool as a Ghostmobile. And they go out and they got their black jumpsuits on. And, you think a zombie squad would be ready to deal with these. And they're not. They're inept. They have grenades. The best scene is when the guy throws the grenade down the zombie's mouth. And, oh, my God.
And 15 minutes later, they throw him out the window.
Yeah, and they throw him out the window. And these guys, too, are a bunch of doofs that are looking to get bitten by zombies. They're putting the arms out or whatever. I mean,
Well, I was going to say he did. I was like, after all that with the grenade, he still got bit.
He still got bit, and he deserved it. If all that happens and, you're going to put your hand out there for a zombie, die. Get bitten by it. But so it follows this zombie squad. There's like 4 of them. One of them gets bit. And they've got a cure, they think. And they're working out of a high school. The government is. It's supposed to be DC. Looks like a high school. They do have a unique shot, though, of these zombies outside the White House. Yeah. And you'll never see that again, because the zombies are right there on the fence line. And you'll never see, being able to film that. Yeah. And there's a cult involved that want to keep the zombies safe. And there's also, this is awesome because it's ahead of its time, dead zombie protesters.
Activists.
Zombie activists. Thank you. So they're trying to get their buddies saved. They're trying to get this antiviral, whatever it is, out there. And it just follows this little group, and it's just a nonsensical movie. Bruce Campbell does the voices of the 2 lead zombie squad guys. I don't know why, but they dubbed their voices with his.
Didn't know that.
Huh?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And like I said, Ted Raimi produced this thing, and it's just a mess. It's just a mess. If you can get the plot down, folks, tell me, because it's a fun movie to watch.
It was the most fun.
This is a drinking one. This is one when you're drinking, you know. What do y'all think?
Out of all the movies this week, yours was my favorite.
Cool.
I'm not saying that says much, but it was fun and it was campy, and that's the kind of turkey I prefer.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a movie I can't recommend enough to people. If you're a zombie fan, you got to see this movie. It's so bad, but it's kind of part of zombie history, you know. So if you see this movie anywhere, it's on Tubi right now. I used to own a physical copy of it, but watch it. It's so bad. It did suck. Yeah, Mike, it did suck. I agree with you, but it sucked in a fun way.
See, we're still trying to understand what the turkeys are.
Yeah.
I thought turkeys were supposed to be so bad that they're good. But then it became they're just bad.
Well, so Alan thinks that his movie is so bad that it's good. We thought that Scott's movie was so bad that it was good. And I know Hadley, your movie was okay. I mean, Matt just
No, it was just bad.
wasn't
It
good.
was just
Yeah.
bad.
but it wasn't.
It had the most potential to be a
It
good movie.
wasn't so bad. It was good. So it just sucked. But and I know what Scott thinks of my movie, but I also know what you think of my movie. So there's we can go at it that way. But anyway, keep going. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Oh, you got any more, Hadley, to add?
No, like I said, I enjoyed your movie. Out of the group this week, and out of what I think that the turkeys stand for, I think that you had what I think would be the best turkey.
Nice. Rich.
Yeah, I'm with Mike Lewis on this one. I think this movie just sucked. It was so what they did with this film was they took they tried to take all of the good stuff from other films and put it in here. And you can see the influence of Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead and some others as well. And some of the character names, Romero, Savini, and there are a couple. What's that?
Carpenter,
right?
Raimi,
Raimi, right? So I mean, there was a lot of that going on. You actually brought up a point that I was going to bring up, Alan, in that this movie was released in '89, but it was definitely made before that because it almost looked like it was made in the '70s. And the reason I say that is that it had that sort of 1970s orange blood when one of the zombies or one of the people get killed.
right?
There was a lot of gore in this movie. Actually, there's a ton of gore. And one of the scenes, a guy has just beheaded one of the undead, and he's reaching down to get something, and he puts his hand in the thing's mouth.
Yeah.
And it bites his fingers off. I mean, come on. I mean, there's inept, and then there's just plain stupid. So, and there was a lot of that. They had somehow captured, excuse me, a group of these undead in the back of a station wagon.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, put the window down. We're gonna get one up. The guy's like, not so much, and they jump out and they just eviscerate the guy. There was definitely some pig entrails running around in this too.
Yeah.
Excuse me, because it was a gore fest. But the premise was that they needed to go back. That this group of zombie slayers needed to go back with their the head doctor and get this formula from this doctor, and they run into the cult that Alan mentions, and just things go bad. But there was a plot point in this movie where the cult leader he's actually a preacher of the evil cult. He's got a daughter, and we find out that the daughter is actually the daughter of the doctor that made this virus. We never find out why he made it. And that's kind of as far as that plot point went. I mean, it didn't really go anywhere. And at one point, she's the daughter is standing out there, and she's got a gun pointed on one of the zombie hunters, and she's like, "No, the Reverend was my father," and she's about to kill them, and then zombies come out and eat her. And I'm like, "What? You just kind of let that go. That was the only plot device in this entire film that was worth anything, and it just gone. It's just evaporated in the teeth of the zombies. So it was just, All of this said, and I did say this sucked. This was better than I think I like this better than 2 of the other 3 movies. I think Scott's movie was probably, to me, the most enjoyable, and after that it would be Alan's. But again, I know I've said this for the past 2, and I know I'm just going to contradict Alan here. I think this is another just slide on by. If you're going to watch something, you're better off watching ping pong championships than the movies we picked for this. So, and I'll rate it again right now. I'm going to give this one a 1.2. You know what? We'll round it. We'll give it a 1.25. We'll bounce it. We'll put it not round it. We'll put it right in the middle. So that's where I am on this. What about you, Scott?
The movie was horrible. There was no. The acting sucked. The plot sucked. The special effects and the gore were good. I agree with you, Rich. Don't watch this movie. Watch The View. It's more entertaining. But what I loved about the movie was they didn't take themselves seriously. And there were so many tributes to other horror movies. The names, Romero, Raimi, King, Carpenter. As you mentioned, you could see the nods to some of the other movies. The doctor who wore the hat that said, "I thought I was wrong once, but I was mistaken."
Yeah.
It was just, it was meant to be a stupid movie, a stupidly bad movie. It didn't make the B grade. It made the C- grade. So, I mean, this one, I would give it a 1.5. And the only reason I'm going that high is because of all the little inside humor, the nod to the other movies, to the big names in horror.
Fair enough. What would you rate it?
I'd give it a 2.5 because I do enjoy this movie for what it is. And I think if you're a zombie fan, I think this is one you need to at least see in your library, just to say you watched it. There's a lot of trivia and stuff in the background. My computer's not up today. The hamster died. But there's a lot that went into making this crappy film, this crappy little film. And I think it's worth a look, just for that value. I appreciate your guys' comments.
Well, I've got one more. So, this movie was made by fans of the genre.
Yeah.
And that shows through it.
Mm-hmm.
So, for that alone, I find it to be a redeemable movie. It was terrible, but because that it's a bunch of geeks like us who got together and said, "Hey, let's do this. Let's just have fun." I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it a 2.
Nice. Great. Well, Mr. Rich.
5, 6. Hold on.
Okay.
2, 4, 5, 6.
They have calculators.
7. Uh-oh.
But then you got to divide by 4.
Oh.
So my film was I saw this fly by. I was looking up bad movies. I actually Googled search bad movies on Tubi. And this was in that list. And it's called Ginger Dead Man versus Evil Bong. So filmed in 2013 for the sole purpose of being a bad movie. Ginger Dead Man versus Evil Bong is a crossover film from the Ginger Dead Man and Evil Bong franchise empires, produced by Full Moon Productions. Because yes, this is the 4th in each of those film franchises. It stars a plethora of boobs, both literal and the people who claim to be actors. You really need to put your time in on this one and suspend a truckload of belief. Absolutely not to be missed. This thrilling tale pits an undead cookie who seeks vengeance against a young girl who just wants to bake, like cakes and pastries and stuff. bake, not get stoned. The girl's transgression, she survived the slaughter of the last 3 Ginger Dead films.
Okay, I've got to interrupt and say Rich's testimony about this movie is far better than the effing movie.
Rich is spot on.
Right. The entire first half of the movie dedicated to excuse me, rehashing how the evil Bong, whose name is Evie, can suck those who smoke from her into the Bong world. How she trapped King Bong from the Amazon in the Bong world, and with the help of those whom she earlier had tried to kill, defeats the space Bong. That was like a good 25 minutes, all that stuff. And once we get out of Dick's head shop and into the Bong world and meet the topless Poontang clan, then we take a raucous turn and the fun really begins. A pig-nosed clown, racist Asian stereotypes, a dwarf with a bong through his head, and a whole bunch of bare breasts later, we see the Ginger Dead Man get sentenced to an eternity of being eaten by the pastry tribunal, whatever. Only to convince the tribunal to give him one more chance so he can smoke weed on a rock at the end of the movie. I really have no idea what happens throughout the rest of this movie because it's so bad, it's difficult to pay attention even when watching it. I did notice Tommy Chong and Gary Busey, both who are clearly so hard up for money, they are performing in terrible, almost softcore porn films about bongs and sentient ghosts. So, made with a budget of about $8 and grossing a worldwide total of $13 more, this film is the second most successful Ginger Dead Man and the 4th most successful Evil Bong movie because they actually had qualifiers. You're not going to know any of the actors, even though there are a couple who may look ever so slightly familiar. What was his name? String, the dwarf. He's in Pirates of the Caribbean. So,
Wow.
Shockingly, there is merch associated with this film, and you can get a box of cereal named Wheaties, Weedies, or Nookie Crisp, each with a DVD inside. I'm thinking Ash loved this movie for the first 3 minutes, then realized how bad it was and fled to do almost anything else.
Oh, I don't know. He should have stayed for the titty wall.
I can't wait to never see this film again, or talk about it, or remember it. And you know what? I think we should go right to Hadley on this. She's got some things to say. What do you say, boss?
I turned this trash off after about 8 minutes.
I can't believe you made it.
I saw boobs. I heard bad jokes about the gingerbread man and his thing, and I was. I don't have words is the problem, guys. It was that bad. This movie was so bad, I turned it off and said, "Who picked this trash?" And lo and behold, it was Mr. Prude ass Rich Restucci.
I don't know where that came from, Prude ass.
It came from the fact he can't watch a movie with his kids coming by, but he's going to make me watch all these boobs bouncing around with these probably soft porn actresses.
All right, keep in mind, I had never seen this film prior to me suggesting it. So I just saw it come across and I was like, that one. Had no idea it was going to be what it was.
With a name
That's
like
what
that.
he says after I called him out about it, people.
True story.
We all know Rich has probably got every one of the Ginger Dead Man and the Evil Bong franchise movies posters in his room.
Scott, you said you'd heard of this before. I had never heard of it.
Scott loved it.
Well, I know, but he said that he had heard of the Ginger Dead Man or the Evil Bong, one of them.
The gingerbread man I heard of because in the original, Gary Busey plays the serial killer.
No.
And then, because that's why he was in the flashbacks. So and Gary Busey plays the serial killer that after he's executed and cremated, his ashes wind up accidentally at a bakery where they turn him into a gingerbread man that is now possessed. So.
Well, let me go on to say that the Parents Guide on IMDb says that the sex and nudity in this movie are moderate, the violence and gore is severe, the profanity is severe, the alcohol, drugs, and smoking is severe, and the frightening and intense scenes mild.
I would agree with all of that.
It was a frightening and intense scene.
No.
No, there really weren't. That's the thing. Well, the kid does get stabbed through the head with a pong. So.
And I like Full Moon Pictures. I think they come up with some good stuff. Campy, fun, a little bit, out there. I mean, I like the Bloodstone series. So I was very shocked that Restucci picked this.
What about you, Big Mike? What do you think?
I love a good gingerbread cookie. That's my favorite to eat during the holiday season. I did not love this. What's that? What's the Wall of Sound? What's that guy? He's in prison now. Well, anyway, this had a wall of titties, not a wall of titties. I think you had to eye to really enjoy this movie. Hence the crossover.
Yeah, maybe.
Full Moon. Hadley. I really haven't seen too much of theirs that I really liked. I think some of the guy travels back in time and stuff. Tim Thomerson or whatever his name is. He's on. Yeah, I like those.
Yeah, I know Tim Thomerson.
But when you watch a Full Moon movie, it's like watching who's the crossdresser guy that runs the movies that Scott loves. Trauma.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Full Moon is like a
What?
bigger. It's like a little bigger budgeted company than Trauma is. And to me, they put out almost the same quality of movies. So I was not surprised, Rich, when I saw this master of doughy highness. I didn't like this one. I just didn't. It's not my cup of tea,
Well, I agree with Ash's comment about the Bloodstone. The Bloodstone series is good, and they do the Puppet Masters stuff. That's good too.
I agree with you on those Entrancers. That's what I was.
But it's the old ones. I mean, they're from the 90s. And
Yeah.
I'm guessing this is the new stuff.
Oh yeah.
And,
They turned out.
yeah, not a fan of the stuff.
But Rich, this wasn't like we've seen worse.
Oh yeah.
That guy's movies. So it kind of falls into a void for me.
I think Rich Restucci said to himself, I'm going to outdo Scott Baker this year.
and he did.
Well, isn't that what we all said?
Yeah.
Were we all trying to pick
I didn't try. I just did.
I'm full on tempted to pick a crappy movie. I actually looked up bad movies. I said bad movies, and Ginger Dead Man was like the third one across. I can't remember what the other ones were, but that was the third one across, and I was like, that's the one I'm picking. So.
Yeah, I was excited. I thought I'd see gingerbread goodness. I love good.
I just saw that little nasty burnt cookie talking, and it was too much for me, kids.
Yeah. What do you think, Scott?
All right, I'm going to admit something that'll get me banned from here. I've already downloaded the first 3 Gingerbread and the first 3 Evil Bong movies because I got to get caught up.
Well, we know what Ash and Scott are doing this weekend.
Yeah.
Ash won't even watch this. He'll play video games before
If he knew it had that many boobies, he'd be watching.
No, it sucked. It was horrible, but it was so bad. It was fun to watch. It was the movie, the script, the actors and actresses. Nothing took themselves seriously. I mean, the Evil Bong goes with to the Amazon and meets King Bong.
King Bong.
I mean, I was laughing at that one, and then the Alien Bong. And it just, I love the whole idea of Gary Busey as a serial killer stuck in a gingerbread man.
How many bowls do you have to smoke to get this plot out?
Did y'all say what Ash said?
No, what did he say?
All right, Ash, just Rich, you and me now. We got to find a really bad Christmas movie.
Oh boy.
But no, I mean, I watched it. I would not recommend this to anybody unless your life is absolutely miserable and you want something to pick yourself up. This might be it. But
I don't know.
It's horrible. It is really horrible. And having said that, I want to see the first 3 movies of each franchise. So I think that says more about me than the movie.
Well, maybe since you saw it out of order, you know.
Well, I will give the movie credit. They did spend enough time going back through the history of Ginger Dead Man and Evil Bong so you knew what was going on. Now, granted, that was because they just wanted to pad the movie by 25 minutes and not want to have to do any filming.
In order to make my point, I'm just going to say, Rich, listen to everything Scott just said and how much he liked this movie. And you picked a bad one.
What do you guys rate it? What do you give it, Hadley?
I give it a 0.
Oh.
Just gonna be honest. I turned it off. It was too trashy for me. I don't like to see that kind of stuff.
Scott?
0.4.
0.4?
Yeah.
Nice. What about you, Big Mike?
I'm going to give it a 0. Not even Phil Spector's Wall of Titties.
All right. I'll give it. I got to go between everybody, so I'm going to give it a 0.1.
So the movie's got a 0.5 divided by 4. So it's like a rating of 0.125.
I
think we have a new winner.
Yeah.
So Hadley's movie got 4 points.
Yeah, but yours on the low end, and that's what we want.
Right. Scott's movie got 7.75 points. Alan's movie got 7.25 points, and my movie got 0.5. So it looks like if we're going shitty to good, it is Rich, Hadley, Alan, Scott. Good to shitty, Scott wins, and I'm on the bottom.
So what does the Peanut Gallery say?
What do you
Who
guys
had the
think?
worst movie this year?
I don't think anybody watched Ginger Dead Man. They wouldn't put themselves through that.
No, most people said that they gave up on it. Let's see, Ash.
There you go. Lottery tickets.
I don't understand what he said. Did the lottery playing old lady shut him down because of the boobies?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe. I didn't know they had lottery tickets at his store.
Uh-oh, Tully's in the house.
Oh,
Pick me as the winner. Touchdown.
Okay. Tully's Rich is number 1. Mike says Rich wins Tofurkey. Londa only watched 1.
Happy
And
Thanksgiving, Tully.
I would say Rich is the winner this year. Just because
take my turkey prize.
Yeah.
Well, I've got some coming in the mail for you. So what said you? Do you agree, disagree on Senor Rich being the champion this year?
If anybody turned that movie on, it's gonna have lost. I don't think it was fair. I feel like he totally what is it Johnny Knoxville calls it, a ringer?
Yeah, it was a ringer.
Yes, it was
It took me 30
perfect.
seconds to find the ringer.
It was perfect. This was the Godfather, the War and Peace of bad movies.
War and Peace.
Yes. I mean, this was the classic.
I would say the golden drumstick goes to Rich. That's just my 2 cents.
Yes, I agree.
Begrudgingly, because I love my movie.
Yeah, we all want it.
I think we should rip off that golden leg and give it to Rich this year.
Yes.
All right. So Rich Restucci has been awarded the Turkey of the Year.
Shittiest movie goes to me. All right.
Well,
Now, but I've now got a challenge for next year to find something worse.
I don't think you can do it.
Oh,
You better start looking now, Scott, and keeping notes and tracking this stuff down, because I think that whole, and you can't steal from the franchise next year,
no,
guys.
we can't. No.
No sequels or prequels or in-between-quels, nothing. Good job, Rich.
Thank you,
All
boys
right,
and girls.
kids. So, what do y'all got going on for the holiday?
I'm going to my mom's next town over. I'm going to eat like a pig, drink like a Viking, come home and just be fat.
Skull.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good time. Scott?
I'm just going to stay home. The family's going over to Steve's parents for Thanksgiving, but I'm just going to stay here with my mother. And then this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, New England Comic Con Northeast Comic Con and a collectibles extravaganza in Boxborough.
You are a machine, sir.
Yeah, well, this is my last this year, so
That's this weekend?
that's this weekend.
Sounds like
And
a
you
good.
can see Fred in the background.
Alan?
My family's all here. I'm working tomorrow, but when I come home, we're gonna eat. We're gonna eat and party.
Well, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I hope that y'all have a wonderful time. And I want everybody, both on the screen and in the peanut gallery, to know how grateful I am for each and every one of y'all. Y'all mean the world to me and make my weeks a happy place on Thursdays and this week, Wednesday. So,
Thank you all for tuning in.
Yes.
yeah. I hope everybody has a happy and safe Thanksgiving, and we will see y'all soon.
Be
Oh,
safe.
sorry, Mike. All right. Ciao, everyone.
Stay weird, kids.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.
There's
guys.
all next year.
Gobble, gobble.